Hi again everybody. Today we're going to be doing some drawing together. I'm going to show you how to draw teddy bears and make them look like they're doing different things, and then we'll be doing some colouring afterwards. So the first teddy bear is this one. I'll show you it's very easy to do. The tools that you need for this project: some pencils, a permanent marker, a rubber, and some colouring pencils. Some people like to use circular things to draw around to get the basic shape of the teddy bear, but I'm pretty sure that most people can do it without this, but some people like a little bit of a hand, so if you want to use round things for drawing around, that's okay, you can modify it as well. Okay, so the first teddy bear we're going to draw is going to be it's going to be just standing, so you get the basic shape of the teddy bear. You start with the head, one circle for the head, and then another circle overlapping for the body, okay? Doesn't have to be completely round, in fact it's better if it isn't. Add the arms. And the legs. The ears. I like to make the ears quite big, but you can go for any size. The eyes. The nose. And a nice little mouth. That's your basic teddy bear, just standing in front of you. Now you could think about adding some clothing, and you might think about a little dress, or you might think about a little dungaree set or a little waistcoat. On this one I'm going to go for an old-fashioned waistcoat. But you can experiment with trying different looks for your teddy bear, like what kind of a teddy bear is he or she. You can also add little circles here for the paws. Looks quite cute. And I might do some checks. Okay, so all this work is done with the pencil. When you're happy with your teddy bear, take your marker, your permanent marker, and you can then draw around the lines of the teddy bear. Sometimes you might like to add a few details, like some little tufty bits on top of the head. Can look cute. You might want to put eyebrows, give it a little bit more expression. See how I've done the feet coming forward, so you just see the toes of the teddy bear pointing forward. I'm quite happy with him. I have to put in the checks. When it comes to doing things on fabric, you can deliberately wobble your pen which makes it look a little bit more natural when you're drawing fabric, because it kind of suggests the folds in the fabric, which you wouldn't never see as being completely perfect lines. Up, down. There we go. That's the basic teddy bear. Now I'm going to put him to one side, and I'm going to work on a couple of other ones using the same technique. Going back to the pencil again, always start with your pencil. I'm going to start with the same circle as I had before and add in the ears. This time I'm going to add, there's the circle of the belly, I'm going to add some different kinds of clothing. You can see this is a running teddy bear. Put in the eyes, and you'll see this time I'm placing the eyes slightly to one side and the nose slightly to one side, which gives you the feeling the teddy bear is looking off in the other direction, and some little eyelashes. This one I'm going to make wearing a dress. So draw in the shape of the dress. This is all in pencil before you come to doing your markers, using your permanent marker. You can see that. Now I'm going to use the rubber. I'm going to take out the lines that I don't want, places where the shape of the body was still showing. Of course you wouldn't see that if the dress is on top. So now you have a basic teddy bear running. I'm going to put the little circle here for the paw on this side, and the flying scarf gives it movement as well. On this side I'm going to do a teddy bear sitting straight in front of you, looking directly at you. You start again with your circle. You don't have to always finish the whole circle. As you start to learn to draw these, you'll find you don't need to have every part of it. You can see I'm just imagining now the circle of the tummy, adding the hands and the feet. If you notice the way I've done this one, the foot is sticking up in front of you. So you want to achieve that look of the paw underneath the foot showing. And on this one I'm going to give it a little dungaree suit, just something different. Pocket. So before you go back and use your marker, decide which lines are really important to keep. Some of them you won't need, so rub those away. Okay, I'm happy with those two bears. I'm going to go back and fill them in with the permanent marker. I'm going to add some flowers. When you do fabrics, don't forget to put some of the pattern going off the sides of the fabric. It'll make it look much more natural. That's what I mean by not necessarily drawing every part of the line. It's kind of nice to leave some sections almost to the imagination, and it gives more, again, more flow and more naturalness to your drawing. Okay. So we're going to do 2 more teddy bears. Once again, going back to the circle for the head. This one's going to be a lying down teddy bear. So I'm putting the circles going sideways. The ears, when one ear is closer to you, make it a little bit bigger. And when the ear that's further away, make it a little bit smaller. Now this one's going to have its arms behind its head. And it's sleeping. I'm going to go back to the little waistcoat idea. There's that. And he's got one leg crossing over the other. Okay, now we'll be rubbing some of these lines out, and I'm going to put this one leaning against a pillow and a little rug. I'll make the little rug have a pattern on it. It's always nice to do. You can do anything you want with the pattern, and once again, don't worry about making your lines too fancy or careful. Doing something a little bit loose looks really good, and I'm just going to rub out that line there so you can see the shape of the teddy bear. And then the final one we're going to do sitting on a box, and I'm going to show you how to do the side of the head when the head is looking to one side. We have the ears, again, one big, one a bit smaller. I'm going to do the nose of the bear just by putting a little point like this, and then you can put in the nose on the top of the point, the tip of the point, and then back to the circle underneath. And this one's going to be sitting on a little toy box, waving his paw. There's the scarf again, and the waistcoat. Okay. Just going to take out that little line there. Rub any little lines out as you go along before you come to your marker. And we put in the toy box underneath. Toys. Okay. Go back to my marker. Especially around the ear area, don't feel you have to join all the lines up. Just imagine what they'd be like. There's like a break in the line there. The more you practice doing these things, the easier it will become. Just the bottom of the foot there showing, and the arms behind its head. The pillow. You can see I'm kind of missing the lines, but that doesn't matter because we're going to go back over this anyway later. Tassels. And once again, the little wiggly line when you come to doing your patterns. If you wiggle the line like that, it's going to look more natural and more fun and more like a pattern. Okay. We'll finish the last bear. Can you see how I'm leaving a little bit of white there in the centre of the eye? Well, not actually the centre, to the side, and that just gives the impression of light shining on the eye, which makes the teddy bear or any character that you're working with. Makes it look a little bit more alive. You see how I'm not drawing this perfectly at all. There are little bits of the line which are not even, and that's part of what makes the animation look fun and have more of a feeling of energy to it. You make things too perfect, they lose some of their energy. I'm going to make this little scarf stripy. Just make it a little bit different, and you can see again the lines aren't perfectly matching, doesn't matter at all. And I'm going to give this waistcoat a bit of texture. Some little spots. There we go. So now we're going to move on and we're going to do a little bit of colouring. First of all, I'm going to rub out the pencil lines. You must wait for your marker to dry before you do this, but permanent markers dry very quickly. Even so, give it a minute or so before you rub anything out. Use a nice soft rubber and take out any of the pencil lines that you don't need, and that makes the drawing a lot cleaner, especially when you're using colouring pencils. You have to be particularly careful with areas like that where you've used a lot of the marker. The marker's been used and it's quite thick and solid, because there's more ink there. It takes a little bit more time to dry, so just be careful if you're rubbing out areas which are darker. Okay. Okay, now I'm going to colour this one, just to give you an idea. I have a lovely set of colouring pencils here, but any colouring pencils that you have will be good. And the teddy bear, I'm going to use a combination of colours, a little bit of orange, a little bit of brown, and a little bit of this kind of mustardy yellow. I'm going to start off with the lighter colour and use this as the basic colour. Now you can use different styles. I quite like using round and round. You see how I'm using the colouring pencil and I'm going round and round. This creates a lovely soft effect with the colouring pencil, and it makes something like a teddy bear seem quite furry. You want to make your colouring pencils work for you. Don't colour straight across like this, because you'll flatten out the image. So anywhere where the image curls around like that, use your colouring pencil to curve around the shape. Yeah, I'm doing this quite roughly. I'm not really taking a lot of care with it, but I'm just going round and round and round. but not going backwards and forwards like that. That will make the drawing look flat. Okay. So now I'm going to show you how to make the teddy bear look a little bit more three-dimensional. So I'm using a slightly darker shade of colouring pencil, a kind of a light brown colour, and I'm just going back around the places where you would imagine there would be shadow. So coming up underneath the neck and along here, along the side of the waistcoat, underneath the arm. So usually there is shadow underneath things rather than at the top of things. Depends where the light is coming from, of course, but in general, when you're starting off learning about shading and colouring like that, start off with thinking that the shadow will be in the creases and underneath the shape rather than the top of the shape. So all I'm doing now is just adding shading at the lower part of the arms and legs and body, but also in these little areas here where the waistcoat would cross over the body. Again, don't feel you've got to do that kind of completely perfectly all the way around. It looks much better if you don't. Just adding a little bit here and there will be really good. And then the insides of the ears, where the shadow would be a little bit darker. So I've added a little bit of depth to the picture. I'm just going to use a more of an orangey colour just in places, just to give a little bit of brightness and an extra little bit of colour. I'm not doing that everywhere, as you can see. I'm just picking out places and adding just a little bit of brighter colour. That's only to make the drawing a little bit more interesting. So that's the basic colouring of the bear, and I need to decide what colour I'm going to do his scarf. I like the idea of doing it red and white stripes. That always looks really bold, stands up really well. And if you notice, I'm not colouring this really perfectly. Just even adding that bit of colour, your eyes will do a lot of the work. Okay, and then something for the little waistcoat. I think this kind of bright blue might be nice. It's a good contrast. Now you can notice I'm not using the crayon in quite the same way. I'm using it small little strokes, and I'm running the strokes in the direction of the shape of the tummy coming round. So you're imagining this is the shape of the tummy here. Put your strokes going in that direction. Don't go straight across. Try and imagine if this was a round tummy, what shape stroke you need to use to go around the tummy. Under the arm, and then again the back. Go back to making strokes that go around the back. It's blue, but it'd be nice to put a little bit of depth into it. So I'm going to use a purple just at the edges, just to give more shape. Once again, thinking about where the shadow would be. underneath the scarf, anywhere where one thing crosses over another. Just giving it a little bit more depth. And I'll go back for the red. I'm just going to make the buttons red. One more thing to do, I can see the paws. For the paws I'm going to use a brown, not a very dark brown, but it's a little bit darker than the brown I used before on the body of the bear. Once again, just to give a bit of difference in colour and make it look more interesting. Now we've got the toy box. I think I'm going to go for green for the toy box. You can see I'm using longer strokes going in the direction of the line of the box. When I change direction, I go the other way. And whilst that mightn't seem like a huge thing, if you use that method of switching the direction that you use your crayon, but in the direction of the thing, the object you're colouring, you'll find it gives you your drawing a little bit more depth rather than being flat. Not so important when you're going in between things like this around the shapes. Now, I'm going to go for a slightly darker green, and once again getting into those bits where the shadow would be. So underneath where the top of the box comes over up to the side here, just a bit, and then fade it out. Use your crayon, pressing harder at the edges and then softer and softer so that it all blends out. Again, under the teddy bear there would be some shadow. That's where the teddy bear is sitting. So just get right in there with your darker colouring pencil to give a feeling of shadow. I'm going to do a little bit along this bottom edge here as well. Okay, and just to give a little bit of brightness, I'm going to go for the really bright green, and in places just pick out a few little areas where I put the bright green just to give the drawing a bit of a lift. And then I'm going to go back to my red just to pick up the two colours for the lettering of the toy box. And then one last thing, when you're drawing something that's in movement, like this teddy bear is lifting his arm, you can do a couple of little lines like that, just to show that the arm is lifting up and waving. Okay, so that's that one. I'll just show you the finished one that I did a little bit earlier on. I coloured in the teddy bear that was running here with the dress on. Once again, I'm going to do a couple little lines there, and maybe something small just to give it some movement. Okay, Thank you very much. I hope you enjoyed that, and I'd love to see your teddy bears when you've drawn them. Bye now.